hang around because what I do here is I wanted to experiment with enamel paints, and I thought this was a really good chance to do that. So that is another aspect to this build. And in that sense, I'm generally not afraid to experiment, let's say, here and there, or within reason. So that is something that you'll see. You can judge for yourself what you think the effects are or how effective that is. The kit goes together well. If there was build problems, yeah, I'm hands up, it was me. There was a couple things that I just sort of messed up. I wouldn't say that I... probably just not so familiar is probably a better way to put it. Like especially the tracks, I did get a little bit. What would I say? I had to come back and just straighten them up. They tended to pull tight on one side. I mentioned it to a friend, and they knew exactly what I was talking about. So I think it's something that armor people would be a lot more familiar with. In my case, it was just nice something different. Everything goes together, like I say, really well. If there's build problems, yeah, blame me. Definitely blame me. Interestingly, with modern kits, and I think this is where we're starting to see the real fruits of that CAD-CAM process really coming together. I think they all go together pretty well these days. There was a period there, maybe the early 2010s, around that period, there was a lot of junk, and I think that was almost, at least to me, what would you say, the production lines ironing out a few bugs, let's say. So, yeah, the fit, everything, it's all really neat. There's even the plastic is really nice. There's none of that old junky stuff. If people can remember, again with Airfix, there was a really soft plastic, and a lot of the time it was brittle as well, so it would be broken in the box. Okay, this is the rollers, I assume, that are coming together here. Interestingly, as I was doing this, I started to get into that habit, which even I saw my son doing because he was much more heavy into armor, of cutting everything off the sprue and organizing all my wheels and gears and cogs and things into little piles. So you can see here that this is going together really nice. I think the detail is good. Again, I'm no expert, but yeah, there's nothing I would have complained about. And this isn't even an expensive kit. So you can see where, even for me, I started to get into this almost like little production line, which is just an interesting thing. And it's probably not a bad thing to experience life on the other side. As such, you learn something. Predominantly I do planes, so if you're coming at this from the armor side, I do tend to do planes, but I think you can always learn new techniques by doing something differently or exploring a bit. So that's why I'm not really hesitant to do different things. So and especially going forward, you're going to see more ships and cars and stuff almost as I feel like it. I don't want to get locked into, I've got to do this for the channel or whatever type stuff. That I think that's more of a dead end, at least for me. I'm not someone that really wants to feel like I'm working at this. It's really a nice little record, and I enjoy doing what I do. So as you see here, it's all going together. There was a few interesting parts where, in this instance, I didn't want to paint. Well, actually, I'll rephrase this. I didn't want to glue these wheels in until I had painted. But what I realized, and this is complete ignorance really, is that I wouldn't be able to proceed without gluing all the tracks on and gluing everything in place, which kind of changed my whole strategy of the build. In perspective, like I said, I haven't done a huge amount of armor. I've done a few, and I'm more used to, say, like the Tamiya ones, where you can almost do them in two pieces and then whack the tracks on after, which makes painting and that sort of finishing a bit easier. In this case, that was my original thinking, but what did happen is I saw quickly that, that's not going to work. And then the other bit that became a bit annoying, which you see here, is the wheels tended to drop out just as I was handling it and playing around with it, which is a bit of a shame because I actually prefer whether it's planes or tanks or anything where I can keep it into modules or separate sections which I can paint separately and work with separately, whereas this build to me was what I'd call monolithic. I had to sort of go step 1, step 2 all the way through in sequence, and that really limited what I could do. So again, this isn't something I'd say is any problem except a me problem. Like I say, the kit, the fit, everything is no issues at all, no problems. This is where I was getting into this idea of, I'm going to have to glue everything in place in the first instance. And the tracks, again, interestingly, I think the tracks, they look good this way, but it becomes a hassle in that you can't paint them separately. Again, when I was looking around, and like I say, I'm a bit of a novice here. Apparently, that's not that unusual. But yeah, it was just one of those things, live and learn. I got into the painting here. What I'm coming across with is just desert sand, which is a lacquer, because what I want to do here, which is pretty radical, and I was told just use blue tack and masking and stuff. I've just done a base lacquer coat, so to give that desert sand sort of color. Now what I'm doing, which everyone is probably rolling their eyes, is I've come in with Tamiya enamels. 2 reasons. One, I wanted to try the enamels and see how the Tamiya ones are, because I'm of that generation. I grew up with a Humroll. I did try Humroll a few years back when I got back into modeling, but they're fiddly. The tins are fiddly, and I actually found that they really the smell got to me. The Tamiya enamels, on the other hand, I don't think smell as bad, and they're much faster drying. So they're definitely not exactly the same as the traditional Humroll, where stir it with a matchstick that you've grabbed from your dad's ashtray sort of days. They're a long way from that. So there was that side of it. I just wanted to try the enamels because one thing I was looking at was some of especially the Japanese bombers, where they've got, I don't even know what the camo pattern is. It's almost like a green, what I'd say, reptile kind of skin camo. And I was like, if I want to do that, the only way I can think that makes sense might be to hand brush it, because I'm not going to mask all those ripples. I think some of the German camo, you'll see that as well. Very fine. What is it? The Fiats and Maki planes as well. So this was part of my idea of wanting to experiment with the enamels, that if I could sort of get a half decent hand brushed effect here, then I'd almost view that as a win. And the nice thing, if you're not familiar with the enamels, they are slower drying, but they tend to be self-leveling. So if you're going to hand brush, definitely enamels is one viable option, I'd say. I even thought about doing it old school Spitfire this way. The colors I'm using is just dark green, deep green I think it is, there you can see, and hull red. So there was nothing extraordinary complicated. If you don't have an airbrush and you're tight on money, I would actually suggest that you can go old school and get a really nice result just with enamels. It is old school, and that's how that was the way I knew to do it, to be honest, when I was a kid. Like I said, you got that tin of Humroll and away you go. So just keep that in mind. But from my perspective, I was going to say, times have changed, so airbrushes are much cheaper for a start. So that's probably less of a problem. But yeah, from my perspective, I just wanted to really have a bit of an experiment here. On the whole, I was really happy with the results. I can't complain at all. And the Tamiya enamels go down very nicely. You can see here there's no great dramas. The finish is really good. pretty much, I don't know, they must use some sort of dryer in the Tamiya ones, because they're definitely dry often within an hour or two, very quick. Whereas the Humbrol, and this isn't me picking on Humbrol at all, because it's just they're very traditional sort of paints, and I've used them 40 years. So don't hit me up in the comments with anything like that. I'm a bit of a fanboy that way, but there is some difference there between the Tamiya and the Humbrol. The interesting one is, I remember having, there used to be what was it, Revel? No, testers. I used to use a lot of the testers as well. They were always quite good. Testers and Humbrol roughly the same. To me, it just seemed different. But you can see here the effect you get, very nice. The other interesting thing about doing it this way is it's quite relaxing. I had TV on in the background, and I was kind of in the zone, just taking my time painting here. So I think that's also something to consider. Sometimes you don't want the noise and mess and all the faffing about with compressor airbrush and stuff. This is quite a nice way to do it, and as you can see there, you do get a nice result. My big thing was just a bit of an experiment, but I will be doing a lot more of that. Actually, I was so impressed, I'm going to go buy, I will start adding to the collection of the enamels there. I couldn't complain at all. And I wasn't really even, being super detailed or meticulous in this case. It was as much just a bit of an experiment. So very, very happy with how this has come together. Another thing, don't forget to, hit me up with comments. I do appreciate it. If you've got even what you would suggestions on what you would like to see on the channel, do let me know, because I've got a ridiculous stash there that I do need to whittle down. And the other thing is, do hit the likes. Always helps. That's one of those things YouTube looks at. So anything like that. Any interaction with the channel, good or bad, generally it's one of those things that does make a difference. And from my point of view, I do like hearing from everyone. And interestingly, over the last few months where I haven't posted any videos, I do miss it in the sense that I like the interaction. And since the channel started over the last year or so, I have learnt a lot. It's an interesting way to view it, in that I never expected that I'd be, this sounds strange, but I just didn't expect I'd learn as much as I have, just from odd comments and things from people here and there. So to me, that is really useful, but do definitely hit me up. You can see here where this is really quite almost therapeutic to me. It goes on well. There's always these fiddly bits, but you kind of get that whatever you do, even with an airbrush. And just to be clear, this is not me hanging up the airbrush or anything. It's just different tools for different jobs. I can't remember the camo schemes, but those of you that are much smarter than me, you'll know the ones I mean. There's some really fiddly, especially German, Japanese, World War II camo that I can really see that this just brush and some enamel paint would be really good way to go. One interesting thing, and this is a heads up in the don't do what I do sort of category, is just be careful, because I'm used to working with Mr. Color, and I almost messed everything up using white spirit, because the white spirit actually did eat into the enamel. I was just lucky I didn't go to town on it, but just me being dumb, it was one of those things I didn't quite expect. So you can see there, that whole Skoda camo has really come up nice. I'm really, really happy with it at this point. Taking my time doing these little jerry cans. Interestingly, and I don't quite know the logic of this, but the rack on the back if you put the 3 jerry cans in as shown in the instructions, then the turret can't move. Decals, there was 5, I think, 3 sets of the numbers 1, 2, 4, and a couple license plate ones, I guess, for if you're going into Poland or wherever you're driving. So that's it, unweathered. My weathering, I definitely do need a bit more practice, let's say. I'm not even sure what, I can't really swear, but it's one of those things, I just think I probably could do with a bit more, maybe not even practice, but a bit of study as well. I think it's just something I don't do a lot of, and when I got into this sort of armor, I think it actually shows, it highlights my weak spot, and that comes back to almost what I was saying before about doing something different. You almost you learn new things even if you're making a mess of it, like the weathering here. It's not necessarily anything. What is it? It's not a bad thing to I guess experiment, try new things is what I'm sort of getting at here. Because if I was always just doing the planes, I think I'm reasonably good at doing the planes these days. But you don't get that dramatic sort of improvement. Whereas I actually feel like this build, even though I'm sure like all the night shift crowd, all you armor guys probably looking on this in horror. I was pretty pleased with it on the whole, and I thought it was something, more importantly, that I did learn a few new things, or just discovered a few new things just from messing around, and I think that's always a good thing. So, as I say, this is first build in a few months. I'll put a note in the comments about just for those curious on where I've been and what's happened and where I'm hoping to go. There's definitely a really cool P47D that's already finished. That'll be coming, I guess, in the next week or a few days whenever I get to it. And BF110, there's a bunch of 132nd and so on. So I'm definitely back. I'm not going anywhere. Got lots to build and lots to video. So hope you've enjoyed that one. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. Love to hear from you all. And stay safe out there. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again.